The Western alliance has threatened the Kremlin with massive and unprecedented sanctions if Russia attacks Ukraine. But as the Ukraine crisis reaches boiling point, Western efforts to isolate and punish Russia are likely to be undermined by the support of China, Russia's giant neighbor. When Vladimir Putin travels to Beijing for the beginning of the Winter Olympics on February 4, the Russian president will meet the leader who has become his most important ally, Xi Jinping of China. In a phone call between Putin and Xi in December, the Chinese leader supported Russia's demand that Ukraine must never join NATO. A decade ago, such a relationship seemed unlikely. China and Russia were as much rivals as partners. But after a period when both countries have sparred persistently with the US, Xi's support for Putin reflects a growing identity between the interests and worldviews of Moscow and Beijing. According to the Chinese media, Xi told Putin that certain international forces are arbitrarily interfering in the internal affairs of China and Russia, under the guise of democracy and human rights. As Xi's remarks to Putin made clear, the Russian and Chinese leaders are united by a belief that the US is plotting to undermine and overthrow their governments. In the heyday of communism, Russia and China supported revolutionary forces around the world. But today Moscow and Beijing have embraced the rhetoric of counter-revolution. When unrest broke out in Kazakhstan recently, Putin accused the US of attempting to sponsor a color revolution, a term given to protest movements that seek to change the government in a country that borders both Russia and China. Senior Chinese ministers echoed those remarks. The ambitions of Russia and China, however, are far from being wholly defensive. Both Putin and Xi believe that their vulnerability to color revolution stem from fundamental flaws in the current world order. As a result, they share a determination to create a new world order that will better accommodate the interests of Russia and China as defined by their current leaders.